Rescue, alert, contain, extinguish. These tenets of these fiery first responders and more on today's episode. Hello everyone, GoldenNova here. Last time we covered the marvelous Makonko, famed for their damage reflection techniques, and the next theme we'll be covering from the next deck build pack, Amazing Defenders, is Rescue Ace. Themed after firefighters and their various vehicles, this deck aims to accrue a wealth of cards right out of the gate to answer a variety of situations, trading down your opponent's cards with sweet 1-for-1s, then refreshing all our resources, kind of like how you would smother the oxygen from a burgeoning flame, except this time you're doing it to your opponent's deck before it gets out of control. But to find out how all that fits together, you're just gonna have to stick around and find out. Let's check out our equipment and make sure everything is in order, see just how we plan to hose our opponent, then see if there are any other brave souls we can call in to put out these fires. It's time to race to the Rescue Ace! But before we continue, what's a fire hose without a little bit of drip? So make sure to check out today's sponsor, Into the AM. They have a variety of amazing shirts that are oh so comfy to wear, and they come in some amazing designs. Now this is just the basic tee if you want to be on the down low, which still gives you all that wonderful comfort, but if you've seen me in basically, well, anything where I'm on screen, you know that I have a deep yearning for graphic tees. And I think you might as well. Especially if it comes to matching with your particular deck preference. After all, sprites are pretty popular right now, so why don't you treat yourself to a little astronaut flair? And if you're looking for something a bit classier, why not try out the Lord of the Undead design to get a little bit of that Golden Lord swagger? And like the Golden Lord, you're probably looking to save as much of that cash as possible so that you can send your armies out and conquer the unknowing world. And thankfully, Into the AM has you covered with that too. They've got some great bundle deals going on right now. You can get 3 basic tees for $49.95, or 3 graphics for $60, and you can get an additional 10% off by using my code GOLDEN at checkout. So use my link down below, get yourself some amazing fits while saving a little extra cash for your next deck, and help the channel out all at the same time. Thank you so much to Into the AM for sponsoring today's episode, and now, back to the video. So what's the deal with Rescue Aces? Well, they're a series of fire attribute warrior or machine type monsters with the same attack and defense, and our main goal is to watch what actions our opponents take, then act accordingly. A lot of our monster effects trigger whenever our opponent performs a certain action so that we can keep pace with them. But behind every good team is a great supporter, which is why we're leading things off with Rescue Ace Hydrant, a level 1 machine monster with 0 attack and defense, and while you control a Rescue Ace monster other than a copy of this card, your opponent cannot target this card with attacks or card effects. During your main phase, you can add a Rescue Ace monster from your deck to your hand, except a copy of itself, and while this card is on the field, you can activate a quick play spell or normal trap card the turn it was set by the effect of your Rescue Ace card. So every turn you get a free monster, tailored to your needs at the moment, and your opponent's going to have a hard time interacting with it once you have another friend on board. The ability to activate freshly set cards is also going to be very relevant soon, and you're going to be glad that you have Hydrant around to help with that, especially because all the cards we're going to get have bonus effects if you control Hydrant. It's a pretty cool card to build around, but I still submit that it's not as cool as my idea for the Hydra Ant, a multi-headed insect that would regrow those heads when severed. Seriously, Konami, you can't let me outpun you like this. Have some respect for yourself. Rescue Ace Impulse is a level 3 warrior monster with 1500 attack and defense, and during your main phase, you can choose an effect monster your opponent controls with the highest attack on board, your choice if tied, and neither player can activate that monster's effects on the field this turn. And when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field as a quick effect, you contribute this card from your hand or field to special summon a machine type Rescue Ace monster from your deck. Now, that first effect is kind of I'm sure there are some uses, especially because it doesn't target, but it's one of the most toothless forms of negation I've ever seen. Mostly because it doesn't even negate, it just stops activations, so any continuous effects will still apply. It's certainly not going to do anything against, say, Inspector Border. The best case scenario is that the most threatening activated effect your opponent has access to is stapled onto their biggest monster, and that's a big if. However, where it really shines is its summoning effect, because this can work on either player's turn and activates in the hand. So you can potentially summon a big machine Rescue Ace on your opponent's first turn and hit the ground running on yours. And because it summons right out of the deck, you won't even lose out on any card advantage. You know, so long as your opponent doesn't have some kind of effect that can remove your machines without a battle phase. phase, but that'll come down to your knowledge of the matchup. Activating it all willy-nilly is going to get you in trouble, so make sure you practice your impulse control. Rescue Ace Air Hoister is a level 4 warrior monster with 1700 attack and defense, and if this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a Rescue Ace spell from your deck to your hand, which is a massive boon. And like Impulse, when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field as a quick effect, you contribute this card from your hand or field to special summon a Rescue Ace monster, but this time it's only from your hand, but it also summons any type of Rescue Ace, not just machines. This serves a complementary role to Impulse. Whereas that card has a pretty lame negation effect but great summoning one, Air Hoister has a great search effect, but the summoning one is less stellar, though it thankfully can summon a broader range of on-theme monsters. But once again, you want to make sure you don't overextend before your turn's begun, so it might be best to err on the side of caution. Rescue Ace Intruder is a level 4 warrior monster with 1800 attack and defense, and if normal or special summoned, you can add a Rescue Ace trap card from your deck to your hand. And when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field as a quick effect, you contribute this card from your hand or field, then target a Rescue Ace monster in your grave except a copy of itself, and special summon it. This makes Intruder better suited for the late game, as you'll need to actually have a grave to summon from before using this effect. But it's not entirely a loss, because with trap cards, you do want to get a hold of them as soon as possible, so they can be used as soon as possible. True, the search here is a little less immediately gratifying, but it is a lot more powerful. Where our spell cards are focused primarily on setting up our plays, the trap cards actually deal with interrupting our opponent, letting us intrude on their plan of action. Rescue Ace Fire Attacker is a level 6 machine monster with 2200 attack and defense, and if another Rescue Ace, besides a copy of this card, is normal or special summoned to your field except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if any number of cards are added to your opponent's hand, except by drawing them, you can draw 2 cards, then discard 1. What I like about this is that it can be used in conjunction with your warriors to sneak this card into play when it would be most effective. If your opponent activates the effect of a normal summoned monster, and let's pick one extremely at random here, Alistair, when the effect is activated, you contribute Impulse to land Fire Attacker on board. Then, when the chain resolves, Fire Attacker will be on the board to say your opponent has searched out a hot and fresh copy of Invocation, meaning you get what is essentially a Pot of Greed with some discard or graveyard synergies. So it doesn't so much punish your opponent for searching like a Dark Law might, rather it lets you join in on the fun of card advantage. Hey, sometimes you really do have to fight fire with fire. Rescue Ace Fire Engine is a level 7 machine monster with 2500 attack and defense, and can also be special summoned from the hand if a differently named Rescue Ace monster is normal or special summoned to your field, except during the damage step. And if any number of monsters are special summoned to your opponent's field, also except during the damage step, you can special summon a level 4 or lower Rescue Ace monster from your hand, deck, or grave. This is a pretty outstanding way to get your best enablers into play. You can get Hydra on the field, which means it also gets to have a friend, or you can grab your warriors so they can help deploy your bigger machines. It also helps that Fire Engine is equipped with all the amenities. A big claw for picking up debris, a saw blade to cut through obstructions, and a pair of wrist-mounted double-barreled water cannons, because I don't care if Hydro Pump has 80% accuracy, because when it hits, it soaks. Rescue Ace Turbulence is a level 9 machine monster with 3000 attack and defense, and you can special summon this card from your hand by banishing 2 Rescue Ace cards from your grave. During your main phase, you can set up to 4 Rescue Ace quick play spells and or normal trap cards with different names directly from your deck. And if any number of your other cards you control leave the field by an opponent's effect, except during the damage step, you can target a card on the field and destroy it. This is one of the main pieces your deck is going to revolve around. Get this on board and you can set up your entire arsenal of back row to deal with your opponent. Honestly, the retaliatory effect is just a bonus considering what else this card is capable of. And since it only takes 2 Rescue Aces to banish, it's not exactly hard to summon. And you don't even have to do that, because it doesn't specify it has to be summoned this way, so you could use your warrior special summon effects to get Turbulence online for much cheaper. So now that we've established that Turbulence is an easy to field boss monster that gives you a wealth of cards to use, can we please talk about how Turbulence is a spicy flavored Machina Citadel, right down to the legs being made of tank treads? If it turns out that this card is in the same universe as Machina, I'm gonna scream. Alright, that's all the monsters, now it's time for the spells and traps. Let's start with the deck's field spell, Rescue Ace Headquarters. While your opponent controls a monster, all Rescue Ace monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense, because I guess they can't use their powers to the fullest unless there's a real emergency. During your main phase, you can normal summon a Rescue Ace monster in addition to your regular normal summoner set, which is really helpful for Hydrant, and once per turn you can target 4 of your Rescue Ace cards that are banished or in your grave, shuffle them into the deck, then draw a card. The extra normal summon is super appreciated here, because while Hydrant plus Fire Attacker or Engine keeps this little droid safe, nothing else is quite as safe. But if you open a Warrior in Hydrant, or heavens forbid, just Hydrant, you can use the extra normal summon to make sure Hydrant has a friend, even if you have to use the little bugger's own effect to get that companion. But the even bigger effect is the recycling. You can shuffle back cards that were banished for Turbulence's summon, especially the quick play and normal trap cards we'll be talking about in just a bit. This ensures you have a healthy supply of tools to suppress your opponent's actions, while giving you a free card to sweeten the deal. So, by using this card to its fullest, you'll be able to show your opponent no quarter. Alright, now it's time for the bread and butter of the deck, the Rescue Ace quick play spells and normal trap cards. They may not have that as part of their name, but they got a little piece of reminder text to help let you know that they are. I like how it keeps the name snappy, even if it does make it a little harder to pull up on some search engines. However, on top of them all being treated as Rescue Ace cards, they all gain extra effects if Hydrant is on the field. First is Rescue, a quick play spell that targets a Rescue Ace monster in your grave and special summons it to your field. But if you control Hydrant, you can target a monster in your opponent's grave instead. So hey, you can get a free monster back, including the outrageously powerful Turbulence, but you can also slap Fire Attacker or Engine onto the board at the right time to get their effects as well. It also counts as Grave Disruption, because you can take any monster your opponent has targeted for some kind of effect. This means you can effectively pin the Totally Awesome in the sprite player's grave if they have Elf, lest you summon it to your field, or just take away the material they would use in the first place. And I do love snapping a card out of the tier player's grave as they're about to resolve a fusion. You'll be able to pull this off so fast, it'll be a lightspeed rescue. Alert is a quick play spell that adds a Rescue Ace monster from your grave to your hand, or if you control a Hydrant, you can add a Rescue Ace monster from your deck to your hand instead. This is another way to keep your monsters in rotation, though it's not quite as quick as Rescue. However, when it comes to Fire Attacker and Engine, all you need is another monster to summon to help deploy them. And because it doesn't target, it's going to be harder for your opponent to hit your grave with Called By, or any other kind of grave disruption, to prevent you from getting a card back. It can also interrupt Called By once you know the target, which is outrageous. So, no matter what the situation is, your opponent's gonna have to be on high alert. Contain is a normal trap card that can only be activated if you control a Rescue Ace monster. It targets an effect monster your opponent controls and negates its effect, and it can't attack for the rest of the turn. And if you control Hydrant, it also can't be used for a fusion, synchro, Xyz, or link summon for that period of time. This is a pretty wild breakthrough skill, and I love it. Unless your opponent is on some kind of normal or token strategy, you can freeze a targetable monster in its tracks, keep it from utilizing its effects, and with the right setup, even interrupt some decks' most powerful play sequences. And I can't stress this enough, with Turbulence, you can set this up every turn. It's a simple card, but it contains a lot of uses. Extinguish is a normal trap that can also only be activated if you control a Rescue Ace monster. It targets an effect monster your opponent controls and destroys it, then if you control Hydrant this turn, your opponent can't activate the effects of the destroyed monster or monsters with the same original name. And that is stupendous. Sometimes you just don't want to destroy something because then your opponent gets some kind of floating effect. But with Extinguish, you don't have to worry about that, because it completely quashes its effect and of any other copy they might have. This makes it one of the safest removal options in the game and can easily extinguish your opponent's plans. Alright, that's all the Rescue Ace cards, but what do we do with them? Well, with all the ever-flowing advantage and interruption we have access to, our goal is to trade out our opponent over and over again, leaving them in a position where our gigantic monsters can trample over our opponent's life points. So what can we play to help them out? Well, since our monsters all have the same attack and defense, a lot of our Gizmeks actually have some synergy with us. Inaba can help deploy your machines and give them a huge attack bonus. Naganagi can recover face-down banished machines with the same attack and defense, making Pot of Desire something of a safer pick for draw power, but the most important part is that it acts as 3 more copies of Hydrant, because you can have it tribute itself to summon it out of the deck. Tanaguku gives you Revival, and Arakami can help with deploying rank 4s. Makami can also be a funny Army Edition, because once you've banished enough, their normal summon is free and can trade any card in your hand for any of your Rescue Ace monsters. Machinas are also an option here, considering all the well, machines. Turbulence is an easy discard to revive Fortress, and with enough Earth machines to pair with your fires, you can reliably field Machina Citadel, which is a bonkers monster wipe. Speaking of which though, we have all the tools we need to deal with monsters, but what about backrow? Yeah, that's gonna be an issue, so make sure to run some off-theme options. Twin Twisters is an efficient way to deal with a lot of backrow, but if you want a real blowout, Lightning Storm is the play. As for a silly tech pick, try Circle of the Fire Kings. It's a great way to swap out one of your monsters for another, especially if it's during the battle phase. You're not able to pop a Turbulence to summon the same copy of Turbulence since the destruction isn't cost, but if you happen to have another copy of Turbulence in grave already, well, you can't be held responsible for all that damage. Though if you're looking for more damage, Spiritual Fire Art Kurenai is a great way to hit your opponent for 3,000 damage out of nowhere. And that's all I have to say about Rescue Ace. It's hard to say which theme out of Amazing Defenders will have the most staying power, but this deck's capacity for resource management and interaction makes me think it's got a lot to offer in the competitive field. So make sure to gear up and get ready for this matchup, because where there's smoke, there's fire. And where there's fire, there's gonna be the Rescue Ace monsters. Make sure to stand back, let them through, we have to get this fire under control. But now, I want to hear what you all have to say. Are Rescue Aces the latest hotness, or are they just a flash in the pan? Let me know in the comments, and if you haven't already, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to show your support, ring that bell so you don't miss an episode, and share this video with someone you know who loves Yu-Gi-Oh! It really does a lot to help me out. And once again, big thanks to Into the AM for sponsoring today's episode. Make sure to check out my link down below so you can see their amazing stock, use their amazing bundle deals, and use my code GOLDEN to save even more on top of that. Today's episode was sponsored by my lovely patrons, including Quasar Commander Harry, the ominous benefactor, special contributor Gibbles the Gibble, Nebula Navigators 3rd Dynasty, Adam Zajdel, Ashling Waltz, Avi Chali, Benjamin Meisner, Kane Senpai, Cameron Berg, Eric, Frankie, Genesis Yu-Gi-Oh!, Gloomba 331, Great Big Pillock, Howling Zangetsu, Ironic, John Manji, Julius Sneezer, Larakia, Meteornus, Michael Madsen, Mighty Action X, Muzuki Clark, Neo Trinity, Panther J, Rebel King Lucifer, Rem T. Bright, RJ the Jank Monarch, Ruxith Sarani, Sophie, apparently, The Fresh Prince of Conair, The Wizard Moose, True Neutral, Tyler Cranston, Xander Wolfensberger and Zyrus, Cosmic Crusaders, Bear Sharktopus Studios, Chaz Ghost, Corbinisms, Emily, Eva Padilla, Inblink, Jesus Garcia, KL, Kale the Dragon, King Scarlet Yu-Gi-Oh!, Lord Whoop-De-Doo, Manga Pages, Marion James E. Picata, Nitromo, RGS, Shooting Star 3300, Star-Lord 777, and the Legendary Raven, as well as the wonderful Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. I'm only able to continue doing this thanks to the support of these lovely people, so if you'd like to be a part of these credits, as well as help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, please check out my YouTube membership or Patreon links in the description to see if I have anything you'd like on offer. And if you'd like to see another video featuring monsters with a fiery passion, check out this video I made covering metal foes. And if you want to see two Yu-Gi-Tubers going at it, check out Noah Jenkinai's latest series progression polls where your voice shapes the format. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.